This is how to begin with activity 2.1 regarding configuring labels and leader lines, the lines from the labels to the points, in QGIS, from QGIS map design. And so we start out by bringing in two different layers, the countries and then populated places. These are both 1 to 110 million scale, and so you want to make sure you bring in the right scale of these. And then you should have a map that looks like this. One of the things they do in this is they kind of turn this color to a light gray color. So I'm just going to go in there under simple fill, my fill colors. I'm just going to select a light gray that I've used previously. Say OK. And for the outline, I'm going to make that like a whitish color like they do here. So maybe here, say OK, apply it, and now we have something looking more like what's in the book. So before we get started here, a couple of things. This isn't in a very good map projection, so let's put it into a world projection. I'm going to go under Project, and then Properties. And once again, you can either search for a world here, or Robinson, which is one under the CRS tab, or if you remember making the equal Earth, let's see if that's the equal Earth shows up. We can say OK there, and that puts it into a better projection for the world. The next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to look at these symbols I have on here, and these symbols are all kind of the same size. We're going to concentrate on the labels, but just because we've done this before, I'm going to go ahead and change this from a single symbol to a symbol that looks more like in the book. I'm going to make it a graduated size symbol, kind of like the color here, but maybe I don't need an outline. So I'm just going to take the outline off. The stroke style is going to be no pen. Say OK there. And then I have graduated size, and the column that this is going to be based on is maximum population, pop max. And then I can pick how many categories. 5 sounds pretty good to me. And we can bring the precision down to 0 and the trims, check that again, just like we've done before. And I'll do that as pretty breaks. And now it's classified into 5 different ones. And I'll also make the color semi-transparent, so we're able to look through that a little. Say OK, apply, and OK. So now we have a map that looks like this, which is already looking pretty good. But we want to put the labels on at this point. So we're going to go back under the symbology, or go back under this layer here. And now instead of working with symbology, we're going to go under labels. And currently it has no labels. We're going to put a single label on to begin with. And it wants to know what that single label is going to be. That's going to be from Pop Max again. And then it gives us a lot of different options here. We can change the text size. Or I'm sorry, the text font. We can change what type of text it is. We can change the text size. We can do all of those sorts of different things. And right now I'm just going to apply this so we can see it. Oops, I forgot to change. Oh, I didn't mean to do that by Pop Max. I meant to do it by the name of the country. And apply. And there we have the names on there. And that's one thing that we're going to do. Another thing that we want to do is sometimes this can be hard to read if it's a different, like the black right against the background. So we're going to add a little buffer or halo to this. We're going to check this draw text buffer. The size, we can make that however big we want to. And then the color, I'm going to make that the same as the color of the countries so that it blends in. Say OK. And now there's just a little bit of a buffer around. If I want to see that a little better, I could put like a very different color around there. Apply it. And now what we have then is kind of a pinkish color around the blue color, which is our text. But that's much too strong. We don't want anything that strong. So we're going to just do a light gray. Say OK. And apply. And OK. So that's our buffer. The next thing that we want to do is we don't want to label all of these cities. We just want to label the really big cities. So I'm going to double click on this again. And this time I'm going to go under rendering, how these labels are going to be rendered. And the place that we do this is down here. We're going to show, we're going to do a data defined, show labels. So I'm going to click here. And I'm going to edit this description here. And this is going to be for only the ones with a pop max greater than, and then this is actually 10 million. I say OK. I'm going to apply that. And now all of the countries are not labeled, only the countries that have a population over 10 million. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to say OK here. So now we have a map that shows all of the countries labeled. These labels, we can move them around if we want to. If you have your labeling toolbar up here, if you can see these things here, you want to click on this one for move labels. And then you can take any of these labels, click on it. It'll say you want to move on your FID, that's fine. And then once you click on it, then you can just move it around like that. And you want to try to place these labels so they're as non-ambiguous as possible. And so they're in areas that can't be confused with other labels that might be nearby. And usually not right above or below or to the left or to the right, kind of offset at one corner, so to speak, is a nice way to go. But sometimes we want to make sure that, for example, this Tokyo label is associated with this point. So we use something called leader lines, which just draws a line in between the two of those. So that's one more thing we'll add to this. I'm going to double click on this. And if I go under my symbology, currently there's only one thing here, which is the color assigned to the marker symbol. But I'm going to add something here. So I'm going to press the add button. And instead of making this another simple marker, I'm going to do this drop down here. And this is going to be a geometry generator. And once I click on geometry generator, I don't want it to be a polygon that I'm putting in here. I want it to be a line string, multi-string. So I'm going to select that. And now you can see it's changed all these symbols up here, right? We'll still have the simple symbol, but then we kind of have this whole thing coming down here. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to just take that formula from the book, and I've already just pasted it in here. We're going to add that. And then this is going to be what generates these lines. So basically it's just taking the labeling position in X and Y, and it's drawing it back to the geometry, and it's making a line in that way. And once I say OK here, and then apply, now I have little lines through all my circles, and now I also have these leader lines associated with each one of these that is some distance away from the point. And so that's how you'll, what you'll do next. You'll go ahead and work on those leader lines. If you wanted to change the thickness of those lines, you could just go under line here and change its width. And that'll make the line thicker, and you can play around with those sorts of things. But you know, kind of work on this map and make it look nice. After you've changed your leader lines, you can still move other labels around and get to a point that might be a little bit of a thick leader line, I think. But you want to get to a point where you're really happy with how your map looks.